Hey, I'm Joey Tyler.
And I'm Jimmy Lewis.
We're with Dirt Bike Test, and today we'll be talking about the 2022 Beta Cross Trainer.
So this is Beta's kind of, we'll call it an aggressive play bike because it's a super capable bike. This is sort of our first impression of it, although it's probably more detailed than you'll get on people that have done full tests, because we tend to test the crap out of things and it's already got a few wear and tear marks from some of our testing. So you own one.
Yeah.
And everybody in this room right now, and there's a few of us here, we've all ridden and spent a lot of time on these. What Beta has done is they've kind of taken their 300RR, shrunk it down with a slightly smaller frame, a little bit lower suspension, and net the bike gets an inch lower and a ½ inch shorter. And that comes with lower seat height, which is really cool. It's about 35 inches, kind of, if you measure it. And they've done something else, is they've taken their full competition motor, and by putting a different exhaust system on it, they've really tamed it down. So it's got some really good components. The only components I would say that aren't like race spec would be the shock and the forks, but they have all the adjustments. So it can be made to be really good if that's the path you're going to go down, but I don't know why you would need to do that. So the power, what do you think of the power?
It's good for me. It's got quite a bit of power actually for a play bike.
So the thing about the power delivery, it's a 302 stroke. They've done a really good job of giving it bottom end, mid range, and then up on the top, it sort of flattens out.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't give you like kind of race power where you're really revving it and stuff. At that point, it's telling you to shift.
Yeah.
You shift and then it torques right along. That's largely due to the pipe. It's something we might play with in the future to see if we get a little bit more out of it. But as far as the torque and the tractability and the rideability, it's about as good as you're going to get out of a carbureted bike. We had a little bit of an issue. We had to adjust the float level because it was actually spilling fuel out of the overflow, which prompted us to get kind of horrible gas mileage. Yet we fixed that, and hopefully it's going to go up a little bit. But in the 2.3 gallon tank, we were on reserve at 30 miles, which was kind of concerning. 6-speed transmission, it's kind of a wide ratio. Mm-hmm. Gear for every occasion. How fast can yours go?
Above 80?
Above 80. And you only know that because I told you that's how fast it went.
Yeah.
But it goes good in first gear, doesn't it?
Yeah, actually.
So the hydraulic clutch, which is top of the line stuff, Beta's known for having really good clutches and good clutch control. That's the same on this motorcycle. The motor vibrates a little bit. It is counterbalanced, so it's not as bad as it probably could be, but compared to some of the other bikes, there's a little bit of vibration you get through the handlebars and stuff, but usually you have to be revving it, and that's not where you ride the bike, so it doesn't stick out too much. But I don't have really any power issues with this bike, especially if I start feeling it flatten out, I'll just shift and then it's good to go. Onto the suspension, and the suspension's an inch lower than the competition bike. I feel like it's set up a little bit soft for me, but I'm 200 pounds and you're
120, so yeah, it's a little stiff for me.
So it's probably set up for somebody in the middle, or maybe someone that's as heavy as me that goes a little bit slower, or someone that's going a little bit faster at your weight, or someone 150 to 170 pounds. It probably works really good. I'm not 170 pounds, but it has this good damping. You know, it's a little springy, which makes it kind of fun and peppy, makes the bike feel light. But there are the adjustments that you can use to get it where it's at. But most of the people have hopped on this thing, rode it, didn't really complain about the suspension, because I don't think that's what they were. They were more worried about what they're doing on the bike than saying, yeah, I need some clicks of compression. We're going to have a lot more beginner riders hop on this bike and try it in an upcoming comparison. And then all of our senior, we'll call them senior advanced riders that are stepping down, all want to try this thing because sometimes their competition bikes these days are a little bit too much, and that's where this Beta really fits in. So suspension, I give it a thumbs up.
You too.
Does the job, yeah. I don't mind it bottoming because it tells me, Jimmy, you're riding it too fast.
Yeah.
And then we get to the handling. And this is probably one of the key factors of this bike is it's very, very light and very, very agile. You find that it's pretty stable and predictable.
Yeah.
I think that it's a little bit, well, I don't think that it's funny because it's not funny. It's just what it is. It's a little bit unstable because it's light, because I've ridden so many of the heavier kind of play bikes, and they're really stable because of the weight. But when this thing starts going, when the weight starts going wrong, since it's light, you're able to correct it. Where a lot of times, novice riders tend to, rely on that extra momentum so the bike can be a little bit twitchy. The good thing is that there is the power to get you out of the trouble, but there's also enough power to maybe get you back into trouble on this particular bike, where some of the other play bikes or more beginner-friendly bikes don't have the throttle response and the torque that this one in fact does. Brakes on it are insane, really good. The ergonomics overall are just like a normal dirt bike. Maybe the bars are a little bit closer, but it's not something that I notice too much. It's easy to work on from my experience. We've had a few betas around here and really not had any issues with them on durability. And that's one of the questions, like, what is a beta? Can I get parts for it? Is it gonna last? The answer is, beta's an Italian bike. You can get parts for it. They're gonna last a long time. The motor is actually, in my world, especially compared to a lot of the newer ones we're seeing, is kind of overbuilt. It's pretty tough. So what's your conclusion?
I'd say it's a great bike for beginners and intermediate riders. I think it's
novices too?
Novices,
right,
yeah.
I think it's more novice, really novice targeted. Intermediate, you might be starting to, when you're a beginner, you're already looking at the expert level bike.
Yeah.
When you're growing into it. But I've seen it from both sides. I see younger guys that they hop on this like yourself, and you can learn a lot. You're not getting thrown to the wolves by putting on a gnarly bike. Older guys are falling back down onto these things, saying, hey, this is all I really need to go single track trail riding, and it gets the job done. We're going to put a lot more time in this thing and kind of maybe do a little bit of modifications and kind of have some settings for the more seasoned rider and figure out if it really is the beginner bike that it's all cracked up to be. So stay tuned to Dirt Bike Test. And for Joey, this is Jimmy, and we'll see you out on the trail.